All right, it is time for the last of the last 5 films I've seen, although this time it is 6. Hey everyone, it is Shannon, and I'm super excited to be here today and to share with you this video. This is going to be the finale of my series of catch-up videos talking about the last 25 movies that I've seen but haven't talked about. And I'm doing this in an effort to get back in the habit of talking about films on the channel, and I have had a lot of fun doing this, and I just simply did it by putting all 25 titles on a spinner, and then I just spin the wheel and talk about the movie, and then we just go from film to film to film. And it has been a lot of fun. These are films that can be from any genre, any time period, any different reason to watch, although most of them are linked into my annual film goals. But yeah, and so this has been so much fun, and because I went a little long in my last video, in video number 4, I only got through 4 movies, so we have 6 here for the finale. I was gonna be a baker's dozen cut in half with the next one. Nope, it doesn't, none of that works. Let's just start. Let's start, because there's 6 to get through. So the first film is Maniac from 1934. So I thought it was 33. Is that from this one? 1934, black and white. So it's from this 50 horror classics collection that I am working my way through as a bonus goal this year. I've got enough value from the series to feel like I am okay with it as is, but I honestly just leave the DVD in the player, and sometimes I just watch the next movie. Often they're not that long. I can't remember how long this one is. So yeah, this one, Maniac, this was the poster that I found for it, which is a little hard to see. What does it say? He menaced women with weird desires. I actually cannot remember this one, almost at all. Does it have... Let's see what the description is in the little book. Are these in alphabetical order, or... Nope, they are not in alphabetical order. Maniac. Disc 5A. They're double-sided. Okay. Stars Bill Woods, Horace Carpenter, Ted Williams from 1934, black and white, unrated. Most of these are public domain. A vaudeville performer becomes the lab assistant to a research scientist experimenting on reanimating dead tissue. Okay, and then when the doctor is accidentally killed, things ensue. Yeah, okay, so now it's coming a bit clearer. This one, okay, so this was a weird combination of things, because I actually thought it was interesting because the vaudeville actor definitely felt like he didn't have a lot of choices. So this helping scientist with an experiment that is a bit shady was actually sort of an interesting, precarious situation to be in. But I am trying to remember, and I am not sure, but given this poster, and so this is a minor spoiler if I'm right. If I'm not, it's a minor spoiler for one of the films that I'm probably going to talk about or have already talked about. But I'm getting a sense, especially with that visual, there was one movie I watched in this collection that totally ended, and this is not the plot, but it ended in this 2 women fighting each other, and at some point it just didn't feel like we, the audience, ever wanted it to end. What we're getting from this is watching 2 attractive women fighting each other, not really fighting, just... So that's really what I remember from that one. And I think that that's what it is, so yeah. Let's just move on. What's next? Star Wars. Okay, from one end of the spectrum to another. So, Star Wars. And I mean Episode 4, A New Hope. So this is, if you didn't know, if it hasn't come up in other films, actually it has come up in other videos I've done, this is my all-time favorite movie. There is no movie that I will ever love as much as I love Star Wars. It's the one. It's the one. The list actually starts at 2 because number 1 is set in stone. I love this movie. I am trying to work my way through a Star Wars rewatch this year. I have been since, and honestly, I've been trying to do that since The Force Awakens, but I keep on getting stuck at Attack of the Clones. And then again at Revenge of the Sith, which I've only ever seen twice, but I did manage to see it, I think, at the end of last year. So I'm very slowly, but I'm really trying to work my way through this series to watch it now that the new trilogy has been out. So yeah, so I watched this. I was very happy. I was kind of very surprised. This was out of all of my film goals this year, I noticed in July that this was the only film goal I had that I hadn't made any progress on this year. So I had watched up to Rogue One last year. I set this as a goal to finish off the rewatch. Didn't make any progress. What's up with that? Excuse me. But then I actually ended up watching it on the day after my second COVID shot, where I was in a horrible state. Like I really had a strong reaction to this. I don't want to get vaccinated. I don't want to discourage anyone from being vaccinated. It was one day of feeling horrible, and it makes a huge impact not only on yourself, but everyone else. So get vaccinated. But I had a tough time with that second vaccination. And I was like, well, one thing people say to do, or that they do when they're not feeling well, is to watch their favorite movies. So I was like, okay, let's watch Star Wars. So I watched it. I watched it on Disney, even though I have I have them in physical editions. I did fall asleep. But I rewound and I set it back to where it was, and then so I did watch the whole thing, not start to finish. It was start to middle to earlier middle to finish, and I just love this movie so much. Like it's one that I actually cannot see it critically, and I don't want to, because I just have so many memories and nostalgia wrapped up in this movie. I just love it. I love the story. I love the sounds. Watching it on this time, I realized that the character that I associate the most from. I wonder I'll give you a moment to pause and put in the comments who you think I am in this movie, because I would imagine almost no one will get it right. But watching it this time, I really realized, and I'm not sure, but am I not sure? Well, I wasn't feeling that great. Anyway, the answer is either. I think I'm actually R2. That's who I am. But with a side of C-3PO. But generally speaking, out of the characters, I'm like, yeah, I'm R2. That's who I am. So, but I do have my C-3PO moments. So, which is interesting to just think about in a more grander sense of thing. I love that movie with my whole heart. Nothing will ever change that. It is just, it's number one. So I was kind of hoping it would be the last, but oh well, we'll just keep going. It's kind of funny. I already talked about Empire, I think, in video number 1. Maniac, I already talked about it. At some point, if I keep on getting repeats, I'll just... Okay, let's keep going. What will it be? Okay, something new. Education, if you didn't see it there. So Education is the 5th film in the Small Axe film series by Steve McQueen. Let me just get the poster. And it's an Amazon original film series. And this one got me. This one, they're all extremely powerful. I talked about Alex Wheatle in an earlier video, but this is the final one, and this follows a young black boy who ends up being sent to, I can't remember what the terminology was, but a school where it has a particular name, but generally speaking, the kids are not cared for very well. They're not really taught at all. And then some people from the community start to look into this and start to get a sense of what's really going on and start to take action to take care of these kids in terms of getting them education. And it was very, very powerful and just really hit me in the feels, and that plot summary might be a little bit more than I would normally give, but it's also hard to it's not hard to describe, so I apologize if that's a little bit more, because I had no idea where it was going, and I was just feeling you just feel for these kids, and it was tough. It was a tough one in terms of also the family dynamic. and the pressure, and also the question of how important is school, how important is education, but not only that, also what is this education providing? Is this education providing the education it should be providing? So there's lots of good questions in this, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. But it is a bit of a tougher watch. It's a drama. So I don't tend to watch a lot of drama, but it was really, really good. So, and this is the final in this of the Small Axe film series. So it actually completed my goal for the year was to watch all 5 films, which I did. And yeah, and so I definitely recommend that. You can sort of, I don't think you need to necessarily watch them in order. They are, I think, in the 5 films are chronological in terms of the events or the time period, and some of them follow real people and real events, and then I think this one, I don't know if it's based on a particular person. It might have said at the end of the movie, I'm not sure. It says it features a young boy as opposed to giving a name, so maybe it's just talking about the situation. But yeah, so I would recommend them. They are on Prime. They are Prime originals. Okay, so halfway there, 3 movies to go. Let's see if we continue to get repeats or get something new. That looks like something new. The Vampire Bat. So we're going back to the 30s. Wow, these videos are just all over, like, the pics are just all over the place, which is intentional, right? The Vampire Bat. Did I put it under the, This is another from the horror collection. Oh, there it is. It's yellow. It's orange. Sorry, it's orange. The Vampire Bat. So this one stars Lionel Atwill and Faye Rye and Merwin Douglas. 1933, black and white. Gotta say, do I remember something about this? Yes, I do remember something about this. This is one of those ones that is a little bit more of a drama and is a little more talking about the community it's in. And I did find perhaps it was a little misleading. And it's a little bit more about social, what's that word? It's been a lot of videos in a row. What's it called? Sometimes genre works are done to create discussion on social dynamics. Dynamics is not the right word, but I can't think of the right word right now, and I don't want to hold. So I felt like it was a little bit like that. I felt like it wasn't so much about a vampire bat as it was about looking at society and what happens when something goes wrong or there is an event and the reaction to a society. So in that sense, actually, it was a fair amount like Frankenstein. So it wasn't what I expected, but it was actually pretty good. But it was a little bit more of a, not think piece, but conversation piece. Not conversation piece. Okay, if I don't get a new one on this one, I'm just going to go to the last 2 because I think we have 2 more. Maniac, education. Okay, so we talked about education, Maniac. Okay, let's talk about the brain that wouldn't die. The brain that wouldn't die. So we're continuing with more in here. Is that from this one? The Brain That Wouldn't Die. Yeah, the Brain That Wouldn't Die, 1962, black and white with Jason Evers. This one is actually the most recent film I have seen. Out of all the films that I've seen, this one I just saw like in the past 2 weeks or so. And this is kind of more like science fiction in a way. It is horror actually, but and this one follows a scientist. What does it say? Alive without a body. No, actually that is totally not real. That's one of those misleading taglines. This is sort of more like the mad scientist trope. He wants to work on the fringes of society to better things, but, there are regulations against doing the things that he wants to do, kind of thing. So sort of that sort of story. I actually found this one really disturbing for several reasons. One, this image, and also it was a film that sort of had opportunity to, and there was some commentary on or at least showcasing sort of where you could go, the people that wouldn't be necessarily as missed as others, but also, if you can imagine sort of this situation where it's a brain that wouldn't die, and what the brain needs, what does the brain need? What does it needs a body. Well, where would you go to get a body? And of course you want a body that you like, right? And so it just went some not great gender places in that sense. So anyway, I didn't really enjoy it. I wasn't in the best of moods when I watched it, truth be told, but I don't think if I was in the best of moods I would have liked it. So I'm glad that I progressed through that one, and I'm now on to whatever the next movie is. That being said, that means the last movie is actually They Came from Beyond Space, which was actually in this, which was my 50 sci-fi classics collection. And this is from 1967 and stars Robert Hutton. And I actually finished this whole thing. I started watching it in 2000, I think in 13 or 12. It was one of the first things I actually did on this channel, was I had my sci-fi surprise series, and I tried to watch all 50 movies in a year. I didn't make it. I think I made it through 42. The last one I watched was Iga. And yeah, so this year, now, like, I don't know, like not 5 years later, 8 years later, 10 years later, I don't know, many years later, I finally finished it. So, and I finished it with They Came Beyond Space. And if I remember correctly, I think this one was British, which is, so made me realize how many of the sort of 40s, 50s, 60s science fiction movies that I've seen are American. But this one was British. It's followed a doctor who was recovering from something, so he wasn't able to go like on site to, I think there was like a big asteroid or something like that fell from the sky, obviously, and so he was supposed to stay away from things, and then he started getting reports back on things and got curious about things, and then so it had this sort of conspiracy element to it, that he was feeling like he wasn't getting enough information and he wanted to go, and there was lots of push back and forth in terms of access, and it got very like rigid and like in terms of what he could and couldn't find out and stuff like that. So this, I would actually say that this, like for many films from this time period, feels like it did not jog my memory at all. I had to go back and read the description, which is, I think it's the only one out of these 25 movies, it is the only one where I did that, because I pulled up this poster and I was like, and then actually, no, maybe I just read the thing from here and I was like, okay, that's not how I would describe this movie, but I guess you could interpret it as true. So it was a pretty fun sort of like Saturday afternoon, mostly drama, but had some intrigue and technically science fiction because outer space, but generally speaking, it's a pretty evenly paced, interesting story with some intrigue, action-y moments. Yeah, so it's a very sort of, as I said, Saturday afternoon kind of movie. So that does it. Oh my gosh, I made it all through 25 movies. I'm so excited. I did not quite realize how many movies I had seen. Like these, I saw 2 from this, and then I switched over. No, I saw 2 from this to finish off this collection. And now this one, I just keep a disc always in the machine. So if I'm tired or if the internet goes out, I just always watch what the next one is. Often the movies are an hour. If any of those are public domain, which is very likely, I will leave links to them down below for the Internet Archive so you can enjoy them. A lot of the films in those collections are public domain, which means they're available to watch online for free, and you can, I don't know what the correct wording is, but you can sort of repurpose them if you want. So, but don't quote me on that. The information is available at the Internet Archive for that kind of stuff. So anyway, I had a lot of fun with this. Let me know, have you seen any of these movies? It really ran the gambit in terms of, we have drama, sci-fi, and then a lot of sort of more in the B-movie land stuff. So, but it's really been really great to catch up on some of these, and even though they have varying degrees of whether I enjoyed them or not. So let me know, and let me know, do you want to see more videos about film and movies? Because I really love talking about it, and I really want to have it more on the channel. So this has been a really fun series to do. Thank you so much for watching, and I will be back soon with another video. Take care!